Let's be honest, you've seen it. A vibrant, intelligent woman in her mid-20s, completely captivated by a man in his 40s or 50s. And your mind immediately jumps to the easy, cynical answers, doesn't it? It must be his money, his status. Or you might quietly think to yourself, daddy issues. But what if I told you that those are just lazy explanations for a phenomenon that is far more primal, more powerful, and more psychological than you've ever imagined? What if the attraction you're witnessing has almost nothing to do with his wallet or his job, but everything to do with a hidden psychological loophole he has stumbled into, often without even realizing it? A loophole that makes him intoxicatingly magnetic. My name is Dr. Emma Madison, and I've spent my career analyzing the intricate dynamics of human connection. And I'm here to pull back the curtain on one of the most misunderstood aspects of modern attraction. The truth is, many men over 40 have unintentionally developed a specific set of psychological traits that act like a superpower in today's chaotic dating world. It's a fascinating paradox. The very process of aging, which society tells men to fear, can become the source of an almost unfair advantage. It's not about being old, it's about embodying a specific kind of emotional presence that younger men, consumed by their own anxieties and insecurities, simply cannot replicate. And it's this presence that women subconsciously crave. If you stay with me through this video, I'm going to give you the blueprint to that presence. This isn't about learning pickup lines or manipulative tricks. This is about understanding a profound psychological truth. I will show you how to cultivate and project what I call emotional certainty, an unshakable inner calm that signals deep-seated strength and psychological safety. This isn't just confidence, which can often be a fragile performance. This is a fundamental state of being that makes you the emotional anchor in any interaction. You will learn to stop being a man who chases, who seeks approval, and who feels powerless, and start becoming a man who attracts effortlessly, simply by who he is. This understanding is the secret key. It's the ability to pass the unspoken tests you don't even know you're failing. It's what separates the man who tries hard from the man who is highly valued. And as we go deeper, I'll reveal not just the what, but the specific actionable behaviors that signal this certainty. Things most men get wrong every single day without knowing it. In fact, the single most powerful technique is something most men are actively afraid to do, and I'll be sharing it near the end. So make sure you stay for that. As we begin this journey together, I'd love to see where you're all watching from. Drop your city or state in the comments below. It's always fascinating to see how far these ideas travel. To understand this power, you must first stop looking for a roadmap and start learning to read the weather. Attraction isn't a logical sequence of events. It's a dynamic, emotional atmosphere. As a woman, I can tell you that our deepest feelings are rarely broadcasted in clear, direct statements. They are expressed in the subtleties, the patterns of behavior that unfold over time. A single smile is just a smile, but a pattern of smiles combined with consistent eye contact, leaning in during conversations, and a noticeable shift in her energy when you enter a room, that's a conversation happening beneath the surface. My role here is to teach you the language of that conversation, to help you see the consistent signals that are hidden in plain sight, drowned out by the noise of your own expectations and anxieties. Most men make the critical mistake of searching for one definitive sign, a single yes or no that tells them where they stand. But a woman's interest isn't a binary switch. It's a complex emotional ecosystem. The man with emotional certainty understands this. He doesn't obsess over the meaning of a single text message or a canceled date. Instead, he observes the broader context. He pays attention to timing, to the subtle contradictions between what she says and what her actions reveal, and most importantly, to the unspoken tests woven into everyday interactions. He notices her silences, her hesitations, her ambiguous questions, and he doesn't panic. He sees them not as rejection but as data points in a much larger, more meaningful pattern that reveals her true level of interest and investment. This is where the wisdom of experience, which older men often possess, becomes such a potent force. They've simply had more time to witness these patterns, to learn through trial and error what truly matters. What I offer you is a way to bypass decades of painful guesswork. My authority doesn't just come from academic study. It comes from a deep, innate understanding of these dynamics from the inside. I am not speculating on what women want or how they feel. I am decoding the very psychological and behavioral systems that I and every woman operate within. Think of me as your translator, guiding you through this intricate landscape, showing you not just what to look for, but how to interpret it with the kind of sophisticated social intelligence that is, in itself, profoundly attractive. The first pillar of emotional certainty, and the most immediately visible, is what psychologists call outcome independence. This is the subtle but profound ability to be genuinely unbothered by the outcome of any single interaction. A younger man, still tethered to a need for external validation, lives and dies by every text response, every glance, every word. A delayed reply sends him into a spiral of anxiety. What did I do wrong? Is she losing interest? His entire emotional state is a hostage to her approval. The man with emotional certainty, however, operates from a completely different paradigm. He has built a life, a purpose, and a sense of self-worth that exists independently of any one person's validation. His world doesn't tilt on its axis because of a single woman's actions. This detachment is not coldness. It is freedom. And to a woman, it feels like bedrock in a world of shifting sand. Let's make this concrete with a classic scenario: the canceled date. The man operating from a place of uncertainty receives the text. "So sorry, something came up, can't make it tonight." His immediate reaction is a frantic scramble to regain control and seek reassurance. He might reply with a barrage of texts. "Oh no, is everything okay? Did I do something? We can do something else or another day. Just let me know." His panic is palpable. He is signaling that her validation is critical to his emotional stability. The man with emotional certainty receives the same text and, after a deliberate pause, sends a simple, concise reply. "No problem. Let me know when your schedule clears up." That's it. He doesn't chase. He doesn't demand an explanation. He gracefully removes his attention and returns to his own life, communicating silently that his world is full and her presence is a welcome addition, not a desperate necessity. But simply not reacting is just the first layer. It's what you do next that truly separates the men who are merely passive from the men who are powerfully attractive. This brings us to the second, more active pillar: decisive leadership. This is one of the most misunderstood concepts in modern dating, often wrongly conflated with being controlling or arrogant. True decisive leadership isn't about dominance. It's about gracefully lifting the burden of choice from her shoulders. In a world that bombards women with endless decisions, a man who can create a clear, effortless path forward offers a profound sense of psychological comfort and safety. He signals that he is capable, experienced, and willing to take responsibility for creating a positive experience, which is an incredibly attractive trait that younger, more hesitant men often lack. Think about the classic, frustrating exchange, "What do you want to do tonight?" which is inevitably met with, "I don't know. What do you want to do?" This back and forth isn't a sign of politeness. It's a symptom of emotional vacancy, a leadership void. The man with emotional certainty avoids this entirely. He doesn't ask, he leads. He'll say, "I know this great little Italian place on the corner of 3rd and Main that has the best carbonara. We're going there Friday at 8. Wear something you feel amazing in." The sheer confidence of this statement is intoxicating. It communicates foresight, planning, and a genuine desire to provide a specific, well-thought-out experience. He isn't asking for permission. He is creating a world and inviting her to join him in it. This is not about control. It's about providing a sense of thrilling, comfortable direction. Of course, this decisiveness doesn't mean you ignore her input or bulldoze her preferences. That's tyranny, not leadership. The key is in the framing. A sophisticated leader can still offer choice while maintaining control of the interaction. For instance, instead of the open-ended, "What do you want to eat?" he presents a curated set of options. "I'm in the mood for either that new sushi spot downtown or my favorite taco place. Do you have a strong preference for one over the other?" Notice the subtle power dynamic. He has already defined the landscape of possibilities. The choice is hers, but the frame is his. He is still the one guiding the experience. demonstrating that he has a plan and is capable of making decisions, while also showing that her opinion matters to him within the context he has set. This balance is the hallmark of a man who is both confident and considerate. Now, leading with decisiveness is powerful, but it can be instantly undermined if you can't handle the inevitable emotional turbulence she brings your way. This is where we move from external actions to internal fortitude, into what I call the unshakable frame. This is perhaps the most difficult, and therefore most attractive, quality to master because it cannot be faked. Your frame is your emotional reality, your baseline. A man with a weak frame has his emotional state dictated by those around him. If she is anxious, he becomes anxious. If she is upset, he becomes defensive or frantic. A man with an unshakable frame, however, owns his emotional state completely. He is the oak in the wind, not the leaf. He can acknowledge and experience her emotions without absorbing them or being controlled by them. He becomes the calm in her storm. Let's watch this play out. She comes to him after a terrible day, complaining about a conflict with a coworker. The man with a weak frame immediately goes into fix-it mode. Well, you should just tell your boss. Or why don't you send this email? Did you try talking to HR? He's not listening, he's panicking, trying to solve the problem to alleviate his own discomfort with her negative emotions. The man with the unshakable frame does something far more powerful. He just listens. He lets her vent. He maintains his calm, centered presence. And when she's finished, he doesn't offer a single solution. He simply validates her emotion. Wow, that sounds incredibly frustrating. With that one sentence, he gives her exactly what she was looking for. Not a project manager, but an emotional anchor. He proves his strength by not being shaken by her distress. What most men fail to realize is that many of these emotional outpourings are not actually cries for help. They are, on a subconscious level, tests. When a woman complains, starts a small, unnecessary drama, or even gently pokes at one of your insecurities, she is often subconsciously testing your frame. She is like a passenger on an airplane, occasionally looking at the flight attendant's face during turbulence to see if she should be scared. If the attendant is calm, she relaxes. If you, the pilot of the interaction, remain calm, non-reactive, and even slightly amused by the turbulence she creates, you pass a test you didn't even know you were taking. You signal that you are emotionally unflappable, that her moods don't control you, and that you are a safe harbor. This deep-seated strength is infinitely more attractive than any superficial agreement or frantic problem-solving. Holding a strong frame, however, is largely a defensive skill. The highest, most advanced level of emotional certainty is proactive. It's not just about how you weather her storms, but about how you actively shape the emotional tone of an interaction with your very presence. This is where we get into the subtle art that 99% of men completely miss, because it's entirely nonverbal. We are now entering the realm of the mastery of presence. This begins with something as simple as your pace. Anxious, needy men move and speak quickly. They rush to fill every silence, afraid that a moment of quiet will cause the interaction to collapse. Their hurried energy betrays their desperation for approval. The man with deep inner calm moves and speaks with a deliberate, unhurried pace. He is not afraid of silence, he uses it. A pause before he answers a question gives his words weight and creates a magnetic tension. This deliberate pace is the physical manifestation of his inner state. He is present in the moment, not anxiously jumping ahead to what he'll say next or worrying about how he's being perceived. This calm is hypnotic. It forces the world and the people in it to adjust to his rhythm, rather than the other way around. He leads the dance without taking a single step. He embodies the quiet confidence of someone who knows that what he has to say is worth waiting for, and that he has nothing to prove. This isn't a technique you apply, it's a state of being you inhabit when you have truly cultivated outcome independence and a strong inner frame. It's the natural result of knowing your own value, and it's something a woman's nervous system registers as profound strength and control long before her conscious mind does. Complementing this deliberate pace is the most powerful tool of nonverbal communication, your eye contact. The man who lacks emotional certainty has shifty, approval-seeking eyes. They dart around, checking to see if she's smiling, if she's happy, if he's winning. Or, having been told to be confident, he overcorrects with a hard, intense stare that feels predatory and challenging. Both are signals of insecurity. The man who has mastered presence has a completely different gaze. It is relaxed, steady, and unwavering, yet soft and warm. It is not a look of challenge, but of deep, centered recognition. It says, "I see you, I am fully here with you, and I am not intimidated by this connection." This gaze creates a powerful bubble of intimacy, making her feel like she is the only person in the world. It's a form of profound validation that costs nothing, yet is priceless. And finally, all these pillars, outcome independence, decisive leadership, an unshakable frame, and the mastery of presence, rest upon one final foundation: clear boundaries. The calm, centered, decisive man is not a people-pleaser. He is kind, but he is not nice. The difference is crucial. Nice is a strategy of appeasement, born from a fear of rejection. Kindness is a genuine expression of character, offered from a position of strength. A man with emotional certainty knows his own worth, his standards, and what he will and will not accept. He is not afraid to disagree with her, to say no, or to walk away from an interaction if his fundamental boundaries are disrespected. This is the ultimate paradox of attraction. The genuine willingness to lose her is the very thing that makes him magnetic and impossible to leave. It is the final, undeniable signal that his self-worth is non-negotiable. This willingness to enforce boundaries is the ultimate stress test of his emotional certainty. It proves that all the other qualities are not just a performance. It's easy to be calm and decisive when things are going your way. But can you remain calm and hold your ground when faced with a genuine conflict of values? The man who can do this without aggression, but with quiet, firm resolve, demonstrates that his inner world is truly his own. He is not a satellite orbiting her. He is his own planet, with his own gravity. This is the core of what women subconsciously crave: a man who is a complete and sovereign entity, whose presence promises not just a thrilling romance, but a safe and stable emotional world. But there is a flip side to this. A common mistake men make when trying to be this man that instantly repels women, which we need to address. Let's bring this to life with a scene you've probably lived through. Imagine you're on a date, and she starts sharing something deeply personal. Maybe a story about a past betrayal or a current insecurity about her career. The man who lacks emotional certainty immediately mirrors her distress. He might lean in with wide, anxious eyes and say, "Oh my God, that's awful. You poor thing," absorbing her anxiety and amplifying it. Or worse, he tries to fix her feelings with a barrage of unsolicited advice, demonstrating he's uncomfortable with her vulnerability. The man with an unshakable frame does the opposite. He remains physically relaxed, a calm center in her emotional storm. He listens without interrupting, his gaze steady and empathetic. When she finishes, he pauses, letting the silence honor her story, and then says something simple and powerful like, "That sounds like it was incredibly difficult." He doesn't absorb her pain. He validates it, creating a space where she feels safe to be vulnerable without feeling like a burden. This is the difference between a boy who panics and a man who protects. Now let's look at a digital interaction, where most men completely misread the signals. She texts you, "Sorry, I'm going to be super busy with work this week." The literal-minded man immediately interprets this as a definitive rejection. His mind races, his insecurity floods his system, and he replies with something that confirms his low status, like a needy, "Oh, okay. Well, let me know if you change your mind," or a passive-aggressive, "No problem, I'm busy too." He has surrendered his frame entirely. The emotionally certain man sees the text for what it is: a single piece of data, not the whole story. He also notices that she's still the first one to watch his Instagram stories, and she liked a photo he posted an hour ago. He understands that her words are a defense mechanism, a test, or a genuine but temporary logistical issue. So he replies with a calm, playful message that assumes future connection. "Understood. Go crush it at work. We'll celebrate when you're done." He reads the pattern of her interest, not the text of her excuse. Finally, consider the subtle language of physical space and touch. The approval-seeking man is terrified of making a move, so he maintains a sterile, friendly distance, effectively placing himself in the friend zone with his own body language. When he finally musters the courage to initiate contact, it's often a hesitant, awkward tap on the shoulder that feels more like a question than a statement. It screams, "Is this okay?" The man with deep, grounded confidence understands that appropriate, decisive touch is a critical component of masculine leadership. While walking through a crowded bar, he doesn't ask for permission. He places a firm, guiding hand on the small of her back. It's a gesture that is simultaneously protective, leading, and intimate. It's not aggressive or predatory. It's a confident, non-verbal declaration that says, "I'm with you. Follow my lead." This simple, assured action communicates more about his internal state of certainty than 1,000 well-chosen words ever could. However, it is at this very point that many men stumble into a critical, attraction-killing trap. There is a vast difference between embodying emotional certainty and merely performing the actions associated with it. If your decisiveness comes from a script you've memorized rather than a place of genuine inner calm, it won't feel like leadership. It will feel like control. If your outcome independence is just a mask for resentful indifference, it won't feel like strength. It will feel like coldness and disinterest. A woman's subconscious is a master at detecting this kind of incongruence. She feels the tension between the role you are playing and the anxious man underneath. The goal isn't to act like the man who is unbothered. The goal is to do the inner work required to actually become him. A forced performance of confidence is one of the clearest signals of its absence. This leads us to the second crucial nuance you must understand. Context is everything. After learning these principles, there's a powerful temptation to start seeing every little interaction as a definitive sign. You must resist this. A single unanswered text is not a final judgment of rejection. A single touch on the arm is not a declaration of undying love. These are merely isolated data points. Your anxiety will want to interpret every ambiguous signal as confirmation of your deepest fears, while your fantasy will want to see every smile as proof of her desire. Both are illusions. True emotional intelligence lies in the ability to observe these moments with a quiet, neutral patience, resisting the urge to jump to a conclusion. The secret isn't in decoding one action, it's in recognizing the consistent, repeated pattern of actions over time. True certainty is not needing an immediate answer. And now we arrive at the source code for everything we've discussed, the one core principle from which all emotional certainty flows. This is the truth most men are terrified to accept. The man chasing attraction makes the woman his ultimate purpose. Her validation is the prize, and his world orbits her. He is a moon, reflecting her light. But the man who is powerfully magnetic has a different center of gravity. His mission, his purpose, his standard of excellence, that is his sun. A woman is not the center of his universe. She is a cherished guest invited into a world that is already complete and moving with direction. This is the ultimate shift in polarity. He stops seeking the prize and, in doing so, becomes the prize. His attention, not hers, becomes the scarce resource that holds true value. So now you see the fundamental truth. Your life's mission, not the woman, is your center of gravity. By making your purpose the sun, you stop being a desperate moon and become your own solar system, pulling her into your orbit with an undeniable force. This understanding alone puts you light years ahead of other men. But this is where the real game begins. Once she feels this power, she will subconsciously test it. She will create small dramas, question your decisions, and try to pull you from your path just to see if your frame is real. Knowing how to handle these tests without aggression and without collapsing is the final piece of this puzzle. That's precisely why I've prepared a direct continuation of this lesson. Click on the video on your screen right now titled, "The 5 Unspoken Tests Women Use to Wreck Your Frame," and let's master the art of being the unshakable man she secretly hopes you are.